Good morning. We're going to start our investment zone meeting. Right after that, do we have any public comments? All right, having none, we'll move on to the minutes. Everybody has received the minutes via email. Are there any additions or corrections at this point?
I'm showing not present on it.
Okay. We can get that corrected and amended. We got one, my apologies for that. So, any other corrections or additions? All right, do I have a motion to accept with as corrected by Mr. Fettig? Moved by Gary Adams, Gary Schmidt second. Any other additions or corrections? All right, all those in favor of accepting the corrected minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those same sign. All right, next we'll move to the project committee. And Mr. Peeler, if you could take over at this point, I greatly appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to start our project report by giving a little update and apology that we have not had a very detailed project update in the last 2 months. The chairman and co-chair and finance chair and myself have been working with city staff. As you know, we had some changes both at the state level on that homestead. So Tracy and Melissa have been working very hard at making sure what the tax rolls were. Also, as you all know, the Meta project that they went from the H design, which was a heavily property, large building, heavily property project, to an F design, which is more of a high tech. So it adjusted our increment, and Tracy and Melissa have been working really hard to determine exactly the effect that Meta would have and when it would kick in. So the dates changed a little bit and the dollars changed a little bit. Also, we had multiple projects that were tied to a EDC Ocho that both the recession and some corporate restructuring pulled that project on hold. When you took the net effect of those 3 items on the increment, we've been working diligently over the last 3 months to just realign our projects, determine what projects we can do and not do. So today we're voting on 2 items, and then we're going to go into executive session and just update you on one real estate project we've got going on. As far as the first voting item, it'll be really the finance amendment that Gary and the finance committee has worked on, just doing some cleanup. It is not a very big detailed adjustment to the financing plan, but we did have to have some adjustments for our second voting item, which will be on the Veterans Boulevard. So we're really going to go, I'm going to give my report. We're going to go and have a short update on some of the cleanup operations they've done on the financing plan with a small adjustment so that we can vote on the second item, which is for the Veterans Boulevard, go into executive session, just show you some work we're doing on some master planning. And so I'm gonna go through that. I just thought I'd give you an update in we got one other project that I'm doing an update. We're getting ready to bid, and it has a big effect on our financing plan also. So we've got 3-4 items that affected our financing plan. In November, the end of November, we will come to the full board with a 125 slide readjusted project list with a financing plan with multiple changes that are in line with the current funding that we have available. So I'd also, before I get into my report, this might be his last meeting. And I would tell you, in working with this chairman, it's been a pleasure. He took us through the back end of COVID and through COVID and some good stuff. So really have appreciated your leadership and time that you have led our group. It's just been an honor. You and I have worked on a number of committees over the years. I think this could be your last also. Again, thank you for all your support and work on this. So new family. Projects we've got here are fairly simple. You guys going to go pretty quick from here. We are advertising the outer north loop. Finally, this has been on our radar screen. It's another one of these projects, a big project, probably one of the larger projects we have done. Dollar-wise, been on a radar screen. As you know, one of the big changes that we made on this project was to fly the rail. It is really what has held us up for almost 10 months getting an approval and everything signed off on from Santa Fe. That red line in the middle that we are jumping, it is ready to go. Again, big number, y'all, $34 million construction number in our financing plan. It's a little over 40 that we have to complete this project, but the construction number we've got is 34.6. Because of that big number, it gets very difficult sometimes for locals to do this. It's the bonding. We've got two of our major locals doing a lot of other projects that we've done around our community. And so, you know, we're a little nervous, to be honest with you. Is that 34 going to work? You know, David, Melissa, all of us, we're sort of sitting on pins and needles. We are hoping this works, but because of the size of the project, you could easily go over $3-5 million. And that is also one of the things we're really looking at. So that's why I thought I would show you our actual timeline on this, because this is one of the items we're really looking to push through the system so that we can, if we have to have a financing adjustment, that it's a large number, we will be able to react and not come back to you guys and have 3 or 4 financing plans. So we're advertising it on the 1st, bid proposals coming in on the 31st. You know, we'll make a recommendation on the 7th. It'll come back to us on the 15th. That November 15th will be a big 2-hour meeting. If everybody can sort of put that on their radar screen, mainly because we will be awarding this and then changing the finance plan. And by that time, we will have all our numbers and know where we are is on financing. And we're going to just do about 120 slide show, go through every single project with some adjustments. We can get through it a lot quicker in 2 hours, but really, if you would make note in your brain that on that TRZ board meeting, we may go a little bit longer, and a good possibility that that's the only meeting we have for the rest of the year. Don't really have anything in October, unless something pops up, we'll do a quick meeting. If not, this TRZ board meeting on the 15th, and we will probably push the pause button through the holidays, and then we will have already had a major financial plan and project list, and we'll know where we're going. And again, so that this project is just, this will be a big project. One of the last big projects that we've had in a while, the downtown, we've done the 2 parking garages, you know, we've done a lot of big projects, been pushed through the system. This is the last part of this loop. We get this done, and really we're down to $3 and $4 million projects, not these 30s and 10s of that. So, any questions on that outer loop north face? The item that we're voting on today, one of the 2 items we're voting on is the Veterans Memorial. As you know, in our financing plan, we've had $10 million sitting there in the kitty, ready to go. And I think I've updated you all on a number of times that this project is going to be very difficult to get done at $10 million. That $10 million budget was the same budget we had when we released this project 15 years ago. We did finally hustle up $10 million. A majority of that $10 million mid-project on this thing 15 years old, mid-project, we realized that if you look at where this is, that's the apartments to the right. The little square there is the apartments at Temple College. If you drive this from that green line all the way up to the entryway of the VA hospital is a ton of water. Everything in that system has been designed for, I believe, like a 5-year storm. Our manual says we got a design for a 100-year storm. So our adjustment in the financing plan is to making sure that the dollars are concentrated right now on completing the green area, which is taking that water, from the east side of Veterans Boulevard, taking it through Temple College. You've seen that. We got a little bridge through the property where it comes together with the 100-year floodplain from Avenue U, goes through the middle of the bridge apartments, floods half of the lower units there. You've got a bunch of water coming out of the Temple Civic theater, and then we blow it onto the loop and go under and heads downstream, right? That little green area is gonna take some considerable amount of dollars of that 10 million. We've adjusted the financing. You cannot do Veterans Boulevard without getting this drainage done first. I know that David Olson and David Patrick have worked on solutions, and this contract that we have is to go ahead and release that portion of the drainage and get ready to complete a phase. We will probably be downsizing, and we will talk about that again in November, downsizing the boulevard itself, or we'll have to determine if we can get additional dollars. We think that with an addition of $3 million, we may be able to push ourselves up to Avenue U and tie all that drainage in the process of moving veterans down to downtown. So this will be a voting item. We have the funding, but we had to do some readjustment and making sure that the financing plan was in line. So that is why also the financing plan amendment. The next slide, we will be going into executive session, Mr. Chairman, after you finally vote on 3 and 4.
Excellent. I do appreciate it, Mr. Project Committee Chair. And let me just say, Mr. Keela, it's been an honor. It's kind of funny because in Leadership Temple in 2015, we had a presentation by Mr. Keela, and he got up there and talked about the Texas Triangle and the Texaplex. And I'd never heard any of these concepts. And he went over the big picture about how Temple is in the center of all this activity, and the population goes from Dallas to San Antonio to Houston, and we are in the prime position to receive companies in the future. And here we are today living. So, John, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Thank you, sir. And it's been an honor working with all of you. There's so much mental firepower in this room. It's shocking. I mean, we have a wealth. Yesterday, Sanjanet talked about a wealth of people. We have a wealth of mental firepower and problem solving in this room with the city, also the EDC and this RZ. So it's been absolutely an honor. So thank you for that. And also, Mr. Adams, Harry Adams, this is your last meeting also. So thank you for being on the board and serving. And Sanjanet, it's been an honor with both of y'all. It's been just so much fun. So sorry, just wanted to chat real quick and get that in there. So thank you. At this point, we're taking a look at item number 3. And before we do that, we do have a presentation from our Director of Finance, Tracy Barnard. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. I think John touched on this a good bit. This proposed financing plan amendment only focuses on FY 23 and 24. We'll be coming back later this fall to with more another proposed amendment, but the FY 2023 is really just a cleanup, accounting type stuff. And also we had a bond sale on June 15th, 2023. It's truing up some entries from the actual sale. And then FY 24, we've got the certified roll and we adjust increment revenues and then some annual operating expenditures and then the Veterans Memorial John spoke of. Looking at the revenue side in 2023, again, our bonds were issued at a premium. We reduced bond proceeds and increased the premium. We did have additional increment revenue. We're recognizing that $534,000. And then interest income, we're adjusting for 23 and 24. And then 24, we have additional compared to what we had in the plan, 3.2 in increment revenue. Just on interest income, I think all of you know the Fed's met multiple times and rates have increased a good bit. The zone has a pretty hefty investment or money in the bank and earning interest revenue on that, but also that a lot of that money, the interest revenue is restricted by arbitrage. So you may have to pay some back to the IRS, or you may have to, it's restricted on what it can be used for. Looking at just our certified values, captured value, the blue is 2023 and the red 2024, just the increases. ISD increased to 193.4 million, 24%, pretty hefty increases across the board. Then you translate that into increment revenues. TISD Had an increase of 3.1 million in revenue, increment revenues to the zone. The city 1.5, Bell County 695. See to the right over to Belton ISD. And just look at the composition as a percentage. TISD contributes 53.9%, City of Temple 21.7%, and Bell County 11%. Temple College 7.6%. On down the list. On this table, I wanted to focus again on 2023 and 24. This column just shows the increase to what we had in the financing plan. So 23 increased to 534, 24 increased to 3.2 million. But this column here shows the annual increase in revenue. So 4 million added in 2023 compared to 2022 and 5.6 million for 2024. Any questions there? Also wanted to note, this is net of an allowance, but without the allowance, the increment revenues have now reached 30 million. We, always talked before 20 million, now they're at 30, beginning in 2024. Proposed use of the, in the amendment, the proposed use of funds, we have annual adjustments for some operating costs, the parks maintenance, TEDC operating agreement, Transform Temple, some inspection services. And then in 2023, we did have the, these are adjustments related to the bond issue. Also wanted to note that the bond actually, throughout the series, it averaged about 200,000 a year, less than what we had in the financing plan. But with this amendment, we're only adjusting 2024. The future amendment will adjust future years. And then project funding, some additional money for the underground electric relocation associated with the Extraco project, some additional dollars for technology in the parking garages, minor adjustment for the MLK Festival field building, and then in 2024, the Veterans Memorial, and some closing costs associated with the TISD property acquisition. And then again, we're only focusing on 23 and 24. We had the added revenues, and what was not allocated fell out to public improvements. And we will be looking at that in the next few weeks, months for allocation. Just again, looking at that series of bonds that were sold in June, project funds of 40 million. That included the 34.8 for outer loop. And the column on the right shows the savings compared to what we had in our financing plan. And again, we're only adjusting 2024. We'll come back in the fall and go out through the life of the bonds. And that is the financing plan amendment.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any questions on any of the slides? All right, fantastic. Bernard, thank you so much for the work that you and your staff have done. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you guys. And it's amazing how many numbers get thrown at you and you just take them all in, put it in the spreadsheet and come up with solutions. So thank you for all your work. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, at this point, let's take a look at item number 3. And Gary, you being the liaison for the board with the finance committee. So thank you, sir. All right, let's take a look at item number 3. Please consider amending the tax increment financing reinvestment zone number 1 financing and project plans to align with master plans, which include adjusting revenues, adjusting funding for debt service, operating expenditures, and public improvements for the years fiscal year 2023 and 2024. Do I have a motion to accept as presented? So moved. Gary, thank you very much. Mr. Schmidt, do I have a second? Bob Router, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. It does pass. All right, moving on to item number 4 is presented by our project committee chair, Mr. Keelan. Please consider a recommendation to the city council authorizing contract amendment number 1 to the professional service agreement with Casper, Patrick and Associates LP of Temple for adding drainage and sidewalk improvements related to the development of the Veterans Memorial Boulevard from University Courtyard to Avenue O project in the estimated amount of $715,000. Do I have a motion to accept as presented?
I make the motion.
Sanjana Crossley, Sanjana, do I have a second? We have a motion, second, Blake Pitts, thank you very much. All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Without hearing any, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, thank you very much. All right, item number 5, we are about to receive a project update from the Temple Economic Development Corporation from President and CEO Adrian Kennedy. Kennedy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to be before you, the RZ board here. Just want to give you a quick update on what we are seeing with respect to economic development opportunity in our area in Central Texas. I know, the past 2 years, everyone has understood that kind of the amazing clip that Texas has been growing in, with respect to economic development, industrial projects, and the interest rates increase that we've seen from the federal government notwithstanding. We continue to see a lot of robust activity in Texas and of course, Central Texas and Temple. Just here recently, we reported to our board, I guess here yesterday, we reported to our board just recently in the last couple of months, we received 2 projects equaling $250 million and $500 million apiece that are really narrowed their focus to Temple, Texas, as well as a handful of other Texas communities. And that speaks to the confidence that we have in the market, in Texas as a market, as us to potentially win these projects as we go forward. We are very familiar with the old GST site 64 in the Burn site. Those projects or those properties we teed up years ago are those properties, made sure that we got infrastructure to them, and those are the 2 properties that are seeing the most looks right now, quite frankly. So anything from smaller projects, called smaller projects, 50 million or so, up to these $500 million projects. They are all focused in those particular areas because of real estate ownership, because we have the shovel readiness of the site, and they're all still moving at a very quick clip and quick pace. So stay tuned, the Project Ochos of the world and other projects we've talked about in the past, those are still very much available to us as the state of Texas, Central Texas, and Temple to play in that game. One note, and I mentioned to the mayor the other day, we're going to take a slightly different approach in our annual report this year, is really talking about projects that this board, the city of Temple, Bell County, what they've participated as well on tax abatement agreements in the past, what those projects that they've helped invest in and where they started and where they are today. It's absolutely quite significant. If this board will remember, beginning of the year, we received an update from one of our projects we landed here in 2019. That project started out as a $90 million project, 180 jobs or so, and now they're at $400+ million of investment in a 3 to 4 year window of span of time. We're working or have worked and are finding some solutions logistically for an existing company here in our industrial park. That project landed in 2016-17 timeframe. It announced a $17 million project, 30 jobs, and now they're trying to finish up an additional $30 million expansion and another 35, 40 jobs, doubling their employment out there. So there's a number of those projects that are working around the industrial park that are existing industry, which is why we have a robust BRE program, existing industry that's growing. If you drive up Winland Road and you look to the left as you go north and you see all the dirt moving there with HEB, over $50 million in fleet maintenance facility right there that we didn't get a lot of press and didn't get a lot of time on Temple Daily Telegram, but still is a significant investment that they're putting in our community. And we believe there's a horizon and runway for much more. So the market's still robust. The opportunity is there. One other thought that I wanted to share with the board, we continue to see, we heard from the project committee chair mention the Meta and their redesign, where they're going with their moving from their H9 to their F design. That industry is still growing and it's going gangbusters. We've seen no less than 6 new data center opportunities in the last 6 weeks come to us and are interested in our sites here in Temple, Texas. We are actually taking a look, spending a lot of time with Encore because Encore, they're looking for 2 things on those data center projects, particularly the hyperscalers. They're looking for the real estate and they're looking for the power. Right? And Temple happens to be in a very, very good position with respect to both right now. in large part due to the forward planning of this board. And I know the continued forward planning that we'll talk about as we go on here in the coming weeks and months. So thank you for your participation, your investment, your commitment to our economic development goals. It truly has set us in a position to be very successful going forward. I'll entertain any questions or comments.
Adrian, one of the things a lot of people ask that we weren't actually involved in, but you've been very active in, is what's going on behind Bucky's. You know, that is in the zone, but it's not a zone project and we didn't have to do anything. Can you update us what that is and where they stand?
Yeah, that's a great comment. So that is a project, the plan was 3 industrial speculative opportunities on the private investment side. So there's a private group, funding group called Velocys. And the brokers representing Velocys, that money is KBC Advisors. They're based primarily out of Dallas. KBC Advisors they have some office space in Austin as well. But they do speculative industrial buildings across Texas as well as the nation. And their plan was for 3 large-scale speculative industrial. So they were looking at 1 million square feet, about 600,000 square feet, and about 275,000 square feet in 3 buildings, purely on a speculative basis. So, great point from the standpoint of the confidence in this market and the confidence that private investors that years ago never would even take a look at Temple. The 3 of those buildings cumulatively, they were anticipating that they'll land at around $160, $180 million on empty buildings right there in Temple, Texas. So an update on that plan, Niagara came in and we announced that project here a few months ago. Niagara came in and said, what are your plans for that 1 million square feet? They said, well, we can build it out for you and we can lease it back. Niagara said, no, we want you to get out of the way. We want to buy it out from you. So right after they announced that plan to build those 3 speculative buildings, Niagara went in and said, we need more warehouse space for logistics and moving our product because we're ramping up our manufacturing in the core of our main Temple site. And so they bought out that 1 million square feet. They're now building about 700,000 square feet. So one of those buildings just sold out. The spaces for that building sold out, and Niagara owns it. And they're moving forward with about $50+ million investment out there. There are 2 speculative buildings left that's being completed right now. One's about 613,000 square feet. Another one's about a little over 240,000 square feet. We learned here just this week of the 613,000 square foot facility, there's only about 140,000 square feet left. We don't know yet who the folks that are going in leasing. They're still under NDA. They're working out and finalizing that agreement. But out of 613,000 square feet, that leaves you with 400,000 square feet that's now gone, right? And then you look at the 240,000 square feet building, they have half of that lease. They only have 120,000 square feet. So that's all been in the span of about 12 months. So the short story of that story is, and thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Keela, is there absolutely is confidence. It's one thing for me to say that and talk about it on a speculative basis with respect to the projects that are looking at us, but real investments going in, people are taking a look at Temple and actually moving forward and putting their dollars and money where their mouth is, so to speak, with respect to those investments, to the point now that it's been so successful that KBC Advisors as a loss group are coming to us looking for additional sites so they can do additional speculative industrial buildings. They are absolutely bullish on the economy, the opportunity in Texas, and the opportunity in Temple. And one more note I would add that brings to mind, opportunity. I had opportunity to speak to 150 real estate brokers down in Austin, Texas. I was invited to go down and speak at a luncheon last week and talk about Temple. It gave us a great opportunity to market. I mean, we got 8 leads just immediately right after that speech to that group. But there was a lot of conversation around what's going on in Taylor. And the most recent number that we're hearing out of that area is up to, of course, this will be a long window of time, but up to 200 suppliers would be needed to support the expansion plans of Samsung down in Taylor. And they'd all need to be within about an hour to hour and a half. So that puts us squarely in the crosshairs in Texas. So bright future ahead. All the work the reinvestment zone is doing, the city of Temple is doing to prepare us for that opportunity in the future is not going to go unnoticed and without fruit.
Any other questions? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You've left out Bell County there. You referenced power, and this is more whining than anything. I had spoken to the chair about this, I believe, last weekend. The Meta abatement that we went through was unlike any other abatement that the RZ or the EDC has ever done. Which is a great thing. But then in the paper, it comes out that Meta is getting their green energy from Falls County. Now, with the county's involvement in the RZ, you would think that with the $1.4 billion investments that we have in the county for solar projects, with 3 more battery projects on the table and 2 more solar projects on the table, providing the power that you said is so crucial to the infrastructure to these companies coming in, Meta could have at least said, we're getting our power from Bell County, our green power. Everybody knows electrons are electrons. It doesn't make any difference whether it's coming from Falls County or Milam County or Bell County. But that would have just been a recognition of the fact that Bell County has participated in their 381 agreement, that there are those kind of investments going on in the county.
Yeah, that's a fair comment, and I know they are aware when they were doing their site selection and their analysis of this area as a place to do business. They were looking at that Crez line coming from West Texas, running right through here, which is a big deal. I know you're very familiar with that. Y'all had a consultant talk about that, and the fact that we have these renewable energy projects going on in our area. So that's a note for their marketing department. I'll be sure that they're aware of it in their communications, their PR team.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Mr. Schuman, we are definitely advocates for county, so we need to go out there and make sure that people know. We need to tell everybody that we run into and talk to about it. Has anybody driven out to Rogers and taken a look at the solar farms? It is absolutely shocking. It just keeps going and going and going. What, 5,000 acres out there at this point?
Yeah, that one project, Five Wheels project, 5,000 acres.
5,000 acres. Thank you, Mr. Schuman. I do.
They're
appreciate it.
fixing to commence on their next project. Same energy company and same contractor are going to move to the next one, which is between Five Wells and Pioneer. That's about a 3,200 acre project.
Do we know who they're selling their power to? I mean, is it, or just to the grid, do you know?
Yeah, they have to get a connection agreement with ERCOT.
Yeah.
And once it goes on the grid, it's just like the deal with Meta. You know, once the solar company has the connection agreement with ERCOT, Meta can work a deal with whatever energy company they want to and claim that they're getting it from the solar company in Falls County.
Because I really was under the understanding that some of it was from local. I mean, when Meta saying it, did they literally buy from somewhere else, or do they just buy it in the grid?
Yeah, they're buying from the grid, and so there's only so much. So if you look at the retail electric providers and the new regulated market, so all of that stuff's being put on the grid. But obviously there's so much renewable in the state of Texas on the grid, right? Yeah. And so there's, all the megawatts, maybe 40%, 50%, I think now closer to 60% is of renewable energy. So that's the finite market on renewable you can buy. And so when Meta goes out or anyone else goes out and buys renewable energy, they're just buying a piece of that pie, right?
But are they literally buying bulbs or just a piece of the pie? I mean, it would be interesting to hear from
Yeah, it'd
them
be interesting
on that point.
where they get from, where that
And they
combination
say they're
falls.
buying,
Yeah.
it'd be like saying they're buying from our generator out here and nobody says that, so we are, as a county, putting a bunch of power on the grid. It would be nice
To understand where it's
follow up
directly
on
coming
why
from.
they said that. It would be worthwhile for sure.
Well, I mean, there's another project just on the other side of the county line from one of the projects going in Bell County that's in Milam County. That's actually closer than the one in Falls County. I mean, they could have just as easily said they're getting it from Milam County.
It could even be that they're not getting it from any of those. They're just getting it from the grid, and why they made it.
Buying grid
Yeah.
space, you're not buying.
You're not,
dedicated power.
you're buying it from the power's on the grid.
My
So
question is, are any of the ones in Bell County or Milam, are they currently in operation? Falls County might be currently in operation, so that's what
They may have pointed to that one, yeah, because it's currently.
You can't explain Bell County or Milam, they're not actually in operation yet.
Yeah. Commissioner Schuman, are any of them in operation? Oh, no, one's closed.
Yeah, it'll be ready by the end of the year. The one in Falls County, though, is out there by Otto, which is on the other side of Marlin. It's not like it's close to Bell County. It's.
Just or on their part to even just call out that they're buying it from they're buying it from the grid. All of us are buying it from the grid. You can buy it from different people, but it's generally worth noting to them that they're building in Bell County. We're the ones that gave
It
them
is.
the money. We're the ones that.
I read that same article and I thought that same thing that you
Yeah.
noted there, but the recognition that goes along with Meta is that they advertise that they're using 100% renewable energy in all of their marketing stuff. And so they probably shouldn't have used that moniker, but they're just buying space. Yeah. And so they're utilizing that in their marketing effort to qualify as a green building.
Definitely quite a bit of solar coming on the grid to support Meta, so that's good. And definitely a topic for us to review and discuss definitely more later, so.
And the disclaimer, we don't know is what was lost in translation of that conversation.
Well, it was.
As
in
it went from.
It was in the telegram.
So moving right along. Kennedy, thank you for the report from the TEDC. I do appreciate it. Sorry, at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we gotta go.
No, hold on. I've got one more thing right before. Mayor Tim Davis wanted to have a few minutes to present to the board.
Yes,
Mayor Davis, the floor is yours.
thank you. So on behalf of the city and the city council, we wanted to take a minute to honor those three folks that are rolling off this board. As things continue to happen in Temple, they happen quickly. And it seems like many times zeros are being added to the end of those numbers. So, and everyone knows this is a very important board, and the important boards take more time. And they also sometimes start at 7 a.m. Sundays. So yes, I talked to Son Jeanette yesterday about rolling off. She says, well, at least I'll get a 7 a.m. back. So, again, for us folks to ultimately end up voting on what you guys approve here, I just want to thank y'all for the time taken and for the forethought and the work that goes into this. It's not easy. And, on a volunteer basis, we know that you guys, your hearts are at the city of Temple. And so with that, if I may, I'd like to present each of you a plaque with I guess not really a plaque, a certificate that's been framed. It's very nice. And again, just thank you for your time and effort on this board. And we're better off because of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, item number 6, we do need to move into executive session. And let me read into the rules and regulations. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072 and 087, the board may meet in closed session to discuss or deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. If deliberation and open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the proceeding of the governmental body in negotiating with the third person, discuss or deliberate commercial or financial information received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the city of Temple, and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations, or to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to such a business prospect. No final action will be taken where officially